Twin engine day for Bert and Nert. Bert and Nert are narrow gauge twin engines that like to play together and shunt trucks together and get up to naughtiness. However you find Bert, you will find Nert. However you find Bert, you will find Nert. One morning, Bert and Nert were ready to start work. When they saw Stanley at a siding, they were shocked to see Stanley. "Stanley," they said, "what are you doing?" "Good morning, Bert and Nert," said Stanley. "Victor is away. It's Victor's having a day off today, so I'm in charge." The twins were surprised. "Okay," said Stanley. Bad news is, Molly has come off the rails, and Spencer has run out of coal, and Donald has lost his tender in a field. So I want you to sort that, and I want the both of you to sort that problem out." "Yes, we will, Stanley," said the twins, and the twins puffed away. "But guys, not yet," said Stanley. But the twins didn't listen. They were too excited to be with Stanley. They found Spencer, and there he was at a siding. "Hello, Spencer," they said. "You've run out of coal and water." "I know," said Spencer. "Take me to the water tower." "No problem," said the twins. And with that, Bert shunted Spencer out of a siding, and so the twins were ready to take Spencer to the washdown, and the twins were ready to take Spencer to the water tower. Stanley was still spying on the twins and wanted to give them another attention about what's going to happen next. Thought Stanley. Spencer was shunted into a siding, and twins puffed away for Molly or Donald. Just then, they saw Stanley again. "What are you doing there, Stanley?" they said. "I forgot to tell you something," said Stanley. "I want you two to pick Ned and Kelly up. They'll help." "Yes, Stanley," said the twins. There was Kelly and Ned. Ned was to help Molly. So was Bert. And Nert and Kelly are supposed to help Donald get his tender back. Everyone were helping themselves, but Nert was worried that he is going to be late. Said Nert. "Out up there." And there he was, behind Donald. Donald," he said. "Don't worry, we'll get your tender back." "Oh, thank you," said Donald. And with that, Kelly gave herself no problem at all. She got out of the track and found Donald's tender. "It's at the field," she said. And then she swifted it around and back and upwards. And then she shunted it back on the track. Nert moved out of the way, and so Kelly pushed and pushed, and Nert pulled and pulled, and at last Donald's tender was back on the rails. Donald finally had his tender back, so Donald was happy to have his tender back, and his tender was back on the rails. They couldn't move. Donald couldn't go forward because of Molly, and he wanted Nert to move. Nert decided to move into a different line, and Donald puffed away. Meanwhile, Bert and Ned were helping Molly. "Not too close," said Molly. "I'm not," said Ned. He was trying to help Molly, but at last, Molly was back on the rails. Said Molly, "that was about time. Could you get my tender back up again?" "Of course I will," said Ned. But there was Kelly. "Ned," she said, "I'll help." "Okay," said Ned. Kelly tried her hardest, and Molly's tender was back on the rails. Molly tried to move, but she couldn't, so she had to go to the works to be mended. There was Donald at the way, so Donald agreed to help too. The two engines were making up for being ready, and just then Spencer was finally was finally feeling better again. He had more coal and water and puffed away to do the Duke and Duchess's work. While Donald and Bert were helping Molly, they were having a hard time. Oh, said Bert. "Oh, you're heavy. Oh, you're heavy," he said. He was left behind, and now Donald was going too backwards as Molly's tender was nearly derailed. Oh, help. And then suddenly Molly's tender tipped over and onto the ground below, and Donald fell off too. "Ah!" said Donald. "Help!" Molly moved, and suddenly she went up high as she went on top of the Boulder Mountain Tunnel. "Help!" said Molly. "I can't get down." And she couldn't. Just then Bert arrived and saw what happened. "Oh my God," he said. Victor was shocked. "Oh my," said Victor. "What is going on?" "I'm trying to get Molly down," said Bert, "and now I can't." Victor said so. "Well then, get her back down now," he said, and Victor puffed away. Jack finally arrived, and also he moved, and at last Molly was back on the track. Donald had to go to the works to be mended. So did Molly as well. Jack did his best and roared away. Just then, Bert, Stanley, Spencer, Stanley, Nert, and the road vehicles returned, and Victor was impressed. "Well done, Stanley, for being a great teacher. I'm very proud of you." Stanley was proud and puffed away, and at the next day, Victor was back to be teaching the twins again, and the twins were happy to be with Victor again, and Stanley did a really good job.